Hey friends, welcome back to more Reddit stories. Hope you're all doing awesome today, and let's begin. If you charge my card, I'm calling my bank to tell them it's fraud. For context, OP is a front desk worker at a hotel. In my 7+ years of working customer service, I don't think I've ever encountered a person as entitled, snobby, and downright arrogant as this lady. Right from check-in, this lady was on a warpath to, what I would assume, purposefully project her clearly miserable life onto almost every staff member. To begin, her credit card was declining, so obviously our property system wouldn't allow the check-in. After being asked for a different credit card, she took offense and immediately blamed the front desk. "I have money on my card." "Clearly you don't." This was a lengthy and painful 15-minute process of trying to explain her card is declining and her idiotically trying to blame us. She finally provided a new credit card with the attitude of a 3-year-old mid-temper tantrum. To add, she kept mentioning she's part of a wedding group. I guess she thought she was entitled to royalty treatment because of this. Throughout the weekend, she had a plethora of complaints and demands. To summarize, this is what we dealt with. Demanded towels at her door every morning. Mentioned multiple times staff had very unprofessional work ethics because we wouldn't bend over backwards for her every demand. Hated the furniture in the hotel. Complained breakfast room wasn't open 10 minutes before the stated time. Talked down to our housekeeping staff. Was very snippy and rude about towels, garbage, and fresh linen. Hotel's air quality was, quote, worse than a farm. I kid you not, she said those exact words. It felt like she had something to say about everything. Nothing made her happy. It was a giant headache all weekend for all the staff. However, her final act before leaving our property is the cherry on top. As I'm checking her out of the system, I confirm the credit card on file is the one I'm charging. She replies, no, this hotel is horrible. I'm not paying. The fan was way too loud in my room." I laughed to myself that she snuck in another complaint right before leaving. I respond, "I'm sorry you feel that way. I could speak with my GM for a possible discount." In utter disgust, she just looks at me and goes, "No, you're not charging it at all. If you do, I'm calling my bank to tell them it's fraud." She rolls her eyes, swipes up her luggage in a Hulk-like rage, and storms out of the hotel. I called my GM right after to explain what just happened. My GM just says, yeah, charge her the full amount. She stayed an entire weekend, she's not getting crap for free. Why do people suck? Surely that's gotta be an empty threat, because if she actually does try to falsely report fraud to the bank, I'm pretty sure that's not gonna work out well for her. My entitled mother was afraid of doctors, and I nearly died from a, quote, muscle cramp. My mother, the entitled mom of our tale, grew up in a household that didn't believe in doctors or going to the hospital. This translated to an irrational fear of hospitals for my mom. At the time of this story, I was 14, in high school, and about to have a very bad day. I should start by saying that my mom lives exactly 1 mile away from the closest emergency room. Also, my siblings and father were out of town for a competition that weekend. I didn't feel like going to another cheerleading competition, so I stayed home. I get home from school on a Friday around 4 p.m. and call my mom to tell her that I don't feel good and think I need to see a doctor. Mom says that she has a 1-hour workout with their personal trainer, who happens to train the whole family for our sports teams. Mom tells me that she will come home right after and take me to the pediatrician. 4:40 p.m. I call Mom saying that something is seriously wrong with me, and I really think I need to go to the hospital. She tells me that personal trainer just had a cancellation, and she is staying for another hour workout. Then she will take me to the doctor. 5:10 p.m. I call entitled mom and beg her to come home, because I'm in a lot of pain and feel terrible. She gives the phone over to the personal trainer who says, I kid you not, it sounds like a muscle cramp from our workout last week. You'll be fine, buddy. She says she will call our friendly neighbor across the street to check on me. 10 minutes later, I hear the friendly neighbor walk in through the door and come to my room to check me out. I'm on the floor because I fell after going to the bathroom and couldn't get up. She helps me into bed and immediately calls my mom. The conversation goes something like this. Friendly neighbor says, Hey, entitled mom, I think you need to get here ASAP. Your son is white as a sheet and sweating bullets. Also, he is in so much pain he can barely move. Oh, I'm sure he's fine. Probably just overreacting from a muscle cramp like the personal trainer says. This isn't just a muscle cramp. He needs to see a doctor. I can put him in my car and meet you at the hospital ER that is 1 mile away. No need for that. I'll finish up here and head home to take him to the doctor. Click. 5:45 p.m. Friendly neighbor calls entitled mom again, and mom says she is in the changing room, then we'll be home in 10 minutes. The gym is pretty close. 6:20 p.m. Mom finally gets home. Friendly neighbor tells her what I've been going through and says I need to go to the ER. Mom says she is taking me to see our pediatrician. Mom does take me to see our pediatrician, who also runs a pediatric ER. The problem is that doctor's office is 25 minutes away with zero traffic, and we are at the ass end of rush hour. 7:15-ish p.m. We get to the pediatric ER and they immediately take me into the back to see what's wrong. Turns out I have acute appendicitis, and it's close to bursting, so they need to send me over to the hospital 1 mile from my house to get it removed. The entire time my mom is murmuring about needing to get ready for a trial the next day. She's a divorce lawyer, and how I'll probably be fine and just need to sleep it off. Then there comes a moment when entitled mom is out of the room, but I have a doctor and nurse in the room alone with me. I tell them the whole story about how I've been trying to get her to take me to the ER since 4, how we lived only a mile away from the hospital they wanted to send me, but entitled mom decided to go here because she hates big hospitals. The doctor didn't really believe me until I told him to MapQuest, old school I know, my address relative to the hospital. I managed to convince them to call for an ambulance to transport me to the hospital to make sure I got there. After my surgery, the nurse told me that my appendix burst as they began the surgery, so they had to be quick. To this day, I still tease the personal trainer every time I see him by grabbing my side and saying, I think I have a muscle cramp. I've never heard him use those words together since. Am I the a-hole for bullying the police and pressing charges against a bunch of kids? First and most importantly, I'm not here for legal advice. I'm here to see if I'm the a-hole. Second, this is my property that I have a mortgage on. It's not community or city property. This past winter, I had a pool installed at my house. After the pool installation, I had my old fence removed and installed new fences that met with the city code for a residential pool. My new fence is higher than my old one and the gates have approved locks. About a month ago, I had to travel for work and was gone for about 2 weeks. I came back to find my backyard trashed, and it seems someone had a pool party while I was gone. The locks on my gates were broken, but luckily no one broke into the house. I checked my security cameras and saw at least 20 teens having an all-day party that lasted late into the night. I did not give permission for anyone to be at my house, so I was mad. My cameras are HD, so their faces were clearly visible, and I recognized some from the neighborhood. I went to the police and submitted a copy of the recordings and tried to file a report. The cops did their best to try to talk me out of it, but I pressed them on it until they relented and took a report. Weeks passed by and I heard nothing, so I called them to find out nothing has been done. I got angry and threatened to sue unless they got off their behinds and enforced the laws. I should point out I live in a town of about 2,000 people and nothing ever happens here. The cops are not understaffed or too busy on other cases. I also know I probably can't sue the cops into doing their jobs, but I lose nothing by threatening a lawsuit, and I was mad at the time. Finally, they got some of the teens on my security video, but again, they tried to talk me out of pressing charges. I was adamant and insist they file charges. When my girlfriend found out about the situation, she said I should have let it go, and we got into an argument about it. My own mother thinks I'm being a bully by forcing cops to file charges against some teens who just wanted to throw a party. Virtually everyone I know is making me out to be some grumpy guy with a score to settle. Everyone in my life is trying to talk me out of it. They're worried about me destroying these teens' future over a pool party. I don't know when it became okay to break into someone's property. Right now it feels like it's me against the entire world. Update. I'm so glad I posted my situation here. Many of you pointed out that the cops might know the kids, so that's why they're dragging the case. I never thought of that because I've only lived here for 2 years. You all opened my eyes. I called my buddy who grew up and still lives here, so I invited him to dinner tonight. I asked him about my situation and showed him my security video. He immediately said about half the high school senior class was in the video. His kids are in the same high school, and he recognized the daughter and niece of the mayor. He also told me he thinks a couple of the kids belong to the local prominent families, one of which own one of the local grocery stores. We talked about it and I decided to take your advice and drop my complaint in exchange for the parents paying the damages. I'll call the cops tomorrow about it. There's a post below about someone's uncle living in Oklahoma who made a complaint and subsequently got pulled over repeatedly for phantom traffic violations. That really opened my eyes, and I definitely do not want that to happen to me. That's probably a good move, OP, honestly. As nice as it would be to get them to actually do their jobs, it might not really be worth it, if it means having the entire police force constantly harass you. I guess that's the downside to living in some backwoods town where everyone knows each other. New hire feels entitled to treat support staff like crap, so I fired him. Best use of my promotion to date. I'm an attorney, and although I'm young, I'm in a managing position. The firm hired a new, older attorney. Needless to say, he was already having a hard time adjusting to the fact that his boss is 25 years younger than him, but he held it together, except that he was awful with support staff, paralegals and legal assistants alike. This guy was so entitled that he would accost the senior paralegal, my paralegal, because he, quote, should not have to use a legal assistant given his seniority, daily and command her to transcribe notes for him. I overheard him calling her girl, and I immediately told him to not do that, and reminded him that she doesn't work for him, but if he needs help with something, he should tell me. He continued, turns out he is technologically inept. HR forced a meeting to discuss basic tech stuff, and we all needed to attend. He fell asleep during the meeting. I called him out during the meeting and told him to go splash water on his face. After the meeting, I asked him what the hell, and he basically said that he thought the meeting was for the girls, aka support staff. So long story short, I fired him this morning. He was not happy and felt as though his seniority was not appreciated, and that he worked too hard in his life to have to do his own work. He expected to have his own associate to boss around, and was disappointed to see he had to respond to me. Ask yourself, if he is so good, why is he looking for a job in his late 60s? I am taking the girls out for drinks today. Good riddance. Edit. My 60s comment is definitely a snarky comment directed at him specifically. I found this man to be horribly arrogant and entitled just because he was a senior. I definitely don't mean to insult an entire demographic. Take it as you will. Anyway guys, that's all for today. Thank you for watching as always, I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this content and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so. So I hope you all have an awesome day, stay tuned for more, and I'll see you next time.